unrulies for black girl nerds.
Much. Josh, I had to greet you this way because the whole time I watched you, I had to smile. Like I literally smiled the entire time that I watched you. You got doing a whole lot of everything. You got animals, we get stunts, we get action. We got a whole buffet of Josh Peck doing a whole lot of things in this series.
That means so much. Well, thank you. Really, that puts a smile on my face. And I think you make a great point. I think in our effort and what Disney Plus is so good at in delivering a really high-end quality family show is like, how can we accomplish the most in a 1 hour series? And, you know, you've got the cops and robbers stuff with me being a US Marshal trying to get the bad guy. You got like a fun rom-com, like love triangle energy. You got the cuteness of the dogs. You got the physical comedy. So it's truly, hopefully, something that the whole family can watch and no one has to compromise.
When you get to do all these things as a performer, you know, each type of thing has its own different rigors. And so when you look at all of the aspects of who Scott is, what were the easiest for you to perform? What were the most challenging, and what were the most fun?
You know, it's a great question. I think obviously like the physical comedy, the comedic beats, it's something I've been doing since I was a kid. It's what I love. It's my favorite thing to watch. So I feel like I've been honing that for a long time. But anytime where I have to look cool and adept at especially at action movie type stuff, I really have to work on that so I don't feel like a phony. And so I can even pass, you know, for a couple of seconds as someone you would believe could save you. So I actually got to go on ride-alongs with the real US Marshals and hang out with them. They were so generous with their time and learn a lot about the US Marshal Service. I did weapons training with Terran Tactical, who, you know, is behind movies like John Wick and whatnot. So they're pretty incredible when it comes to that. And so, yeah, it was about, you know, melding those two things. It was like, how do I feel confident in playing this guy who that could save you while also having the vulnerability and the comedic aspect of somebody, a typical guy in his early 30s who's just trying to figure out life.
Mm-hmm. And alongside you, you have this immense, lovable dog. I look at my little terrier and I'm like, somebody needs to come train this dog because I want my dog to be able to do some of the things that we get to see Hooch do in the series. When you're working with an animal, animals can be unpredictable, even though they're very trained and very good, they can be unpredictable. What were the first days of, like, for you, for shooting with the dog? I know the dog's real name isn't Hooch, but what were the first days of shooting, like, with you and Hooch, and kind of saying like, hey, we're going to work together, ruff, 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 we're going to work together? You know?
You know, it's funny. I think I always thought of myself as a dog person, and then it wasn't until we were halfway through this series, and I have this 150-pound French Mastiff resting on my diaphragm, so I can't breathe, and literally like bathing me in their salivary, their drool. That I was like, oh, if I wasn't a dog person before, I am officially one now. But it was an adjustment. I'll give you a good story. I remember on the third day of shooting, it was my first day with Hooch. And the scene calls for me, if you remember in the pilot, where I'm walking down this alleyway and I've been chasing this bad guy and I have my gun drawn and I'm looking for him and it's high tension. And so sort of the bit is that Hooch is kind of trying to grab at my hands while I'm walking because he thinks I'm playing. Mm-hmm. So I'll never forget, you know, we wanted to be careful of not making the environment too tense for the dog so that the energy wasn't too elevated. So our director, McGee, said, let's just shoot it from behind. Josh, you don't have to say anything. Just walk with your arms out and we'll just catch sort of Hooch jumping at your hands. And the dog trainer say, hey, we kind of have a call for the dog, something for the dog to know to jump towards your hands. Would you mind saying it as you're walking? We won't see your mouth. I said, sure. What is it? They said, pew, pew. So I'm literally trying to look like a tough, like, you know, badass walking down this alley, and I've got the dog behind me, and I'm just going, pew, 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 pew. I was like, my job is incredible.
Oh, that's odd. See, I went in the wrong path. I should have been an actor.
It's not too late.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. And lastly, this was such, I remember the first one when the first one came around, and I love that. And it's wonderful to see Reginald and Tom, and just the history of where the franchise comes from. As you await people to enjoy the series, how do you feel now that this baby that you've been working on is now going to be born for everyone to enjoy?
Oh, you're right. It is. It's you are delivering this baby into the world, and it becomes this thing. I got this job like, I don't know, 18 months ago in January of 2020, and we had some delays because of the pandemic, and then you make it and you're proud of it and you're looking at each other going, I think it's good, don't you? But it's your kid, so everything you think they do is genius. Mm-hmm. And then you're right, you're like cultivating this thing, and it's specific to the group of people you made it with. But as soon as you give it to the world, it's theirs. It's not yours anymore. And whether they love it, don't love it, or anywhere in between, you kind of have to give over to the results of it. So what I'll say is I had such an incredible time making this experience. I felt so lucky to be with this group of actors and collaborators and these drool-filled dogs. And now truly the icing on what has been an incredible experience would be for the world to love it.
For sure. I enjoyed myself. It's a terrific ride and very nostalgia invoking, and I loved it. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate talking to you, and I'm excited for folks to see it.
Pleasure. Thank you so much.
Great. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, ladies. Thank you for your time. You look very lovely today. And this is such a fun show. And I enjoyed the movie the first time around. So it was really cool to see some of these characters brought back in a new way. Beginning with you, Vanessa, they say that dogs can sniff out the good people and the sweet people, that a dog will let you know if someone is bad or good. When you look at the amount of time you spent with this huge stately animal, what was the keys to making sure that you guys got your thing going on screen and just having a good time and showing that beautiful relationship that people can have with animals?
You cut out at the end, but I think I heard you. The key that I was the dog trainer. Erica Mounir, my character, was like the dog trainer. So I think I probably spent the most time with dogs during the show. And I think I'll say the key was your attention being on the dog and the dog's world, knowing that each dog had a different personality, knowing that each dog had a different preference. Like even one dog didn't mind loud noises, but another dog was frightened about them. So you had to be careful if you were shuffling your feet really loudly. And essentially it was fun to put your attention into this world of each animal, learn their personalities, build their trust. And then from there, you could have them in the scene with you, working with you, doing the things that you had planned to do with them. And so I would say like the key is really is going into the dog's world and really seeing it from their eyes, depending on their each individual personality. That was a key. And also having brilliant trainers. We had Steph and Tracy from Vancouver. Shout out to them. They were brilliant, and a lot of positive affirmation and a lot of love. The dogs respond to love. So that was important too.
I'm obsessed with dogs. So I was just so intrigued watching your character just maneuver, and we know they have trainers on the set, but they're still animals, and you just never know. So exactly. It was very intriguing.
Some of my most rewarding moments were when we would do like the wide shot where you can see all the characters, and I would have that moment where the dog was with me, and I called him to me, sniffed the rug, barked when I asked him to bark, sat when I asked him to sat, and then went off at the end of the scene, and I just my mind was blown. I felt like I had just won a gold medal. I don't remember ever feeling that accomplished. So yeah, totally.
Yeah, no, my mutt's not doing that for sure. I can barely get him to sit down when I want him to. For Becca, for you, for Brooke, sometimes folks just can't let go. Sometimes part of healing is stepping away from people or situations and things like that. When you think of Brooke, because we don't get to see right now the full trajectory of what's going to happen with her and Scott, but what would you say you are most proud of with that character, and what type of temperament is she compared to what Scott is, to who Scott is?
So, they have a long history. They were young, and in love together. So she's the girl that he's still scrolling through her Instagram and checking in on her and still kind of holds a candle for. So that was a really fun thing to play with. And it's alluded to that she kind of ended things. And so she's a very career driven type A. She's got it together, which is kind of, she's great with people. She's great with her words. Whereas Erica she's flighty and she's better with animals. And so the juxtaposition of the two of them with Scott is really interesting, but it was fun to play the role. I come from 3 generations of attorneys and I finally get to play one on TV.
What did they think about that? After all these years, they were like, see, we finally pulled you in.
I told my mom, I said, I did it. I became a lawyer, but I didn't have to go to law school. But it was cool to be able to put on those suits every day in my trailer and have the memories of seeing my mom every single morning, put those exact same suits on and carry her briefcase out the door and go speak in a courtroom. So it was kind of nostalgic for me. I felt like a little bit like my mom, and it gave me the warm fuzzies,
I love that. I feel warm just even hearing you say that. That's really cool as mine gets ready to go off to college. So I think that's really, really cool. You never know. So lastly, Vanessa, I must ask you, does the dog have his own craft services? Because I know you guys have all your things free. Does the dog have a craft? Like, are there lots of bowls of little kibble for each dog? Like, how does that even work?
Yes, all of the dog's craft service was in all of our wardrobe pockets. You would go home and you'd be like, oh, there's smushed up cheese and chicken in my pocket. Like we were constantly having, baby food on our necks, or like, little treats everywhere to kind of guide the dog where we wanted the dog to go. And they were well fed. I mean, they definitely had a lush experience. They had Reiki sessions and chiropractic sessions and massages. They were treated like royalty. And so that, yes, and their very own craft service, which was like chicken, cheese, and maybe some other kinds of meats and I think some kibbles. They each, like I said before, they each had their own unique desires, even for food, like their own, some like this, some didn't like that. So we had to cater to all of the dogs, which was really fun.
Well, I hope my dog doesn't hear this, because he might send me a writer from now on after this. Yeah. Thank you so much, ladies, for your time. Really enjoyed, but this is such a cool series, and I'm so excited to see the whole thing. Thank you so much.
I love your about page on Black Girl Nerds. I read it this morning.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, we try to be out there.
Yeah, I get it. I'm a nerd too. I'm a Disney nerd, actually. I have like a Disney social club, and we have jackets with patches and the whole thing.
See, now I'm gonna have to find you. Thank you so much, lady. Thank you.
We're called the Bad Apples.
The Bad Apples?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm gonna write it down and check it out.
I haven't been able to join yet, so
yeah, she's gonna be an honorary member.
Waiting for my jacket.
Yes,
we go to Disney World together.
That's cool. Thank you. I'm going to check that out for real. Thank you, Vanessa. Thank you, Becca, for your time. I appreciate both of you. It's good to be with you guys today. This was so fun to watch you all interacting. Beginning with you, Carra. Boy, you had a full load to carry, for sure.
Yes, I did.
How taxing is that? People see it, and women, when we carry babies, they don't realize it's very hectic. It's very heavy and tiring. How was it to shoot like that?
You know what? I was one of those women when I first, the idea of like, oh, I'm going to be able to still, I'm going to be able to do this show, and the character's pregnant and I'm pregnant and this is my first child. So I was like, this is awesome. I get to, Black girl magic. But showing up to set, I was 6 months pregnant when we started filming, and it was like, that's when things start to change. And it's like, my body was like, I want to lay down, but I gotta hold this gun and I gotta do this. So it was definitely harder than I thought it would be. I have to be honest about that. Pregnancy is no joke. Creating a life is taxing work, but I will say that the cast, the team, they all rallied around me. Everyone, took such good care of me. And also there's something that happens mentally, like when you put on a bulletproof vest and wear a gun and you walk in this character's shoes, I think it was like adrenaline. I wouldn't feel tired when I was at work. It would be like going there. I'm like, how am I going to do this today? My back hurts. But, once I would get in the costume, I was like, yeah, I can do this. So,
anytime anyone complained, we just look over at Carra and just be like,
yeah, she completely took away our complaint.
Look at her, man,
we
right?
Didn't complain about anything. So, I look forward to season 2, Carra, you not being pregnant, so I can start complaining.
Oh man, it's gonna suck. No one's gonna care.
And meanwhile, while you guys are fighting the battle, she's probably over there.
Yeah,
right. Getting a couple Z's. I get it. Brandon, what I liked about Xavier is, it's always the different guy who's underestimated and really, really knows what's going on and tuned in. Yeah. When you're Xavier is a different personality working in a structure. So what do you think would be the challenges of being kind of eccentric, but working in a very structured environment?
Well, I think for Xavier, like the proof is in the pudding. So he always gets the job done. You know what I mean? And he always does. He might get it. The process might be a little different, but the result is the same. And I think that's what makes him so special. And I think that's why, him and Scott make a great partnership, because he's able to sort of show Scott, like, hey, like there's a what they say, many ways to skin a cat. Like there's always a different way. And if you look at it through a different lens, you might get to the same result, but it just might be more effective. So yeah, I think two of them, when they're paired together, I think it really works.
Yeah, he gives him kind of that thing that he's lacking. You got to loosen up.
Yeah.
You got to see it, the bridge from a different viewpoint. And so that definitely helps him along for sure. Anthony, for James, it's tough when you're the boss and you've got to walk the tightrope between listening to all the different viewpoints. Maybe there's some people more high performing than others. If you were the boss in charge and you had to manage all these different personalities, when would you say you're more drawn to the more creative thinker, the point A to point B thinker? What kind of bossing appeals to Anthony compared to James?
Well, I think I like more creative thinking, right? And I think I definitely like more creative thinking. I think James Mendez is definitely more less that way. I think we are both similar in the sense that I think that we both believe that you find the best person to do the job and let them do the job. You know what I mean? And so I think that's where the chief is trying to get Scott, which is like, you have all this potential. Don't keep messing up. You keep messing up, but you have all this potential. You have this potential. I see something in you, like, get it together, right? And in the process, he can come off as being very tough on him, but I think it comes from that point of view, which is he knows he can be an amazing marshal.
For sure. So I must know who had to clean the most, other than Josh, who had to clean the most dog slobber off of them during the course of filming?
Me. I think me.
Me. It's definitely me. I think everyone's gonna say them because the dog slobbers so much.
Like, I mean, sometimes honestly, like I just be white, like sometimes it's like there's slobber bubbles. Like it's not only slobber. Like sometimes you'll get like a little bubble. I've posted many bubbles on Instagram. You're like, what is going on? The slobber is real. It's real. Like, yeah.
I didn't, I have a little dog, but I have a little mutt, like a little terrier. He's not slobbering. He's just begging and barking. That's all he does. And I watched you guys, and it was pretty amazing. Just animals in general, working with humans. It's incredible to watch it all to come together for this series. Lastly, when the show airs, it's really fun to be part of a series based on a very, very popular movie. This was a very loved and renowned movie in its time. Are you all feeling excitement? Are you feeling excited? Are you feeling nervous? Because people always want to compare things when you try to do it differently.
Listen, people are going to compare and have opinions if you're not doing anything. So I feel honored. I'm not really worried about the comparisons because I think the story holds up. The creative team behind this project, I think the elements that made the movie special, we kept all that and tried to continue it and expand upon it. And I think it's all there. It's action. It's romance, it's funny. And our Josh Peck, who plays Scott Turner, like you can't help but love this dude. He's so genuine. And I think everyone's gonna really fall in love with the show and with the story and want to stay tuned to see what happens next.
It was so cute. I enjoyed all of you. You guys made me want to run and solve crimes and get a big dog. I want to try like all those things now. Thank you all so much for your time. I really appreciate you. And I'm looking forward to seeing folks talk about it on
Thanks so
all
much.
the places.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you guys. So much everyone for your time. This is such a fun series. It made me nostalgic for just the movie. Reginald, I'm excited to see you. That made me feel nostalgic and just all around. This was a good time, a good feeling. Beginning with you, Jeremy, there's so much fun things in this. There's animals, you got some crafts, you get to get dirty, you get to do a whole lot of stuff in this series. What are your favorite things to do as your character Matthew? Because you get to do a whole lot.
You're right. I really do. And my favorite is probably playing with the dogs. They're amazing and they're super obedient. And because I'm a person and they're doing my job better than I can do mine. So it's awesome. It's awesome just being with a dog because excellent companions and they help you get through hard times.
You're so kind and generous, but I think you did a pretty good job too. I thought you did a great job and I liked watching you perform, especially with the volcano. That was pretty cool.
Jeremy, you're way easier to deal with than the dogs, just so you know.
Yeah, exactly. And your craft services and your writer is probably much easier than theirs. So that's a win right there. Reginald, you are an integral part of when people are suffering, they need a village to help them through the hard times. And you are that rock for them. What is the best thing that people always say, call me if you need me, but it's a real different thing to be a true support system for somebody. So when you think of David, what do you think are David's best qualities that are helping them along through this period in their time?
Well, he's a kind and understanding person, and he generally cares about Tom Hanks, his family and whatnot, and rises to the occasion to help protect Tom's family. And I think that's who he is. He's a man with heart and has a good heart and loves the people that are involved. And, just doing that makes him happy. They're his family too. And to see them safe is a tribute to Tom's character. So it fit right in.
It was awesome.
Thank you.
Lyndsy, I could relate to you because your character, Laura, because I am a daddy's girl. And, you want to protect that legacy and making sure that his memory lives on in the way that he wants. And it's a burden to carry, but it's also an honor to carry it when you want your father remembered a certain kind of way. When you look at Laura and the relationship that she had with her dad, what do you think are the sweetest qualities and what are you most proud of with that character?
Yeah, a lot of times when you play a character whose parents have passed, you have to imagine them. You have to create something out of nothing and just envision this person that doesn't exist. But with us, we have the film. We know his qualities. We can see he and Reg having that cop buddy bond and relationship. So it's really like this home movie. And it kind of creates a very real memory of him in this fake alternative universe. So it's great. And also the beginning of the season, Laura is just kind of very casual. This is weird. Dad has this box of files, odd. But as it goes on, it's she listens to her hunch and it gets more and more serious. And she has to convince Scott, hey, I know you're busy being a marshal. and like you got crazy stuff going on, but like it's her dad and something's going on. And so I love how she gets more committed, more determined, gets more purpose in her life as the season goes on, and even doesn't take her own son for granted. You know, I think there's that relationship you have with your kid where you keep your kid in your kid spot. And even Jeremy, you know, Matthew like comes in, he's like, hey, I can help too, you know? So I love that storyline continues through the season and kind of carries us through.
Mm-hmm. I enjoyed that too. We got to see a little bit of it. We got to see the first 3 episodes. So it was cool to see like the picture take shape, and I'm super excited to see the rest of it. Jeremy, back to you. So when you work with animals, they have trainers that they come with that help you guys on set, but there's still work that you too have to do when you're doing your scenes with the animals. Do you have to keep treats in your pockets to make sure that they're there? What kind of treats did you have to keep on hand?
We didn't really have to keep on any treats, but we just had to go with the flow, you know, what the dog wanted to do, So because the dog was very unpredictable, but it was always fun, and it was an experience I'll never forget. And yeah, so they were just always so unpredictable though. So you don't really have that much power over them, but they do what they want, and it's always fun.
I might need you to come over here and work with my little dog, Billy Jean, because he don't listen to me at all. Reginald, a lot of people are so excited to see you. You know, you are still very, very beloved. I know folks in this house have enjoyed you for many years. What has it meant to you to be back involved with this franchise, and just another opportunity for us for you to share your gift with all of us?
Well, it was very special. I wasn't doing anything when they called me to do this role, and to get involved with these new actors and people involved with this show was really special. I enjoyed doing it. I could do this for the next 3 years if they wanted me to. It's really, you know, and that's because of the actors in the show and the new dogs. You know, it really was a special thing to do and to achieve. And I really enjoyed myself, and I thank them for letting me be involved in this. And I think it's going to be a huge hit. I think when people see the dogs and see how the actors interact with these dogs, it's going to be very special. And I think I'm going to be having a job for a long time. That's all I can say.
I know that's right. Speak it into existence. I love it.
Hello.
You all are so wonderful and so talented. Lyndsy, I enjoyed just like the realness that you brought to Laura. She is so special and just such a catalyst for getting the story going. Jeremy, you are a wonderfully talented young man, and Reginald, you're fantastic. Thank you all for your time, and I'm looking forward to everyone getting a chance to see it.
Have a great day.
Yes.
You too.
You.
Okay, we stand a bilingual king. All right, Jeremy, go ahead.
Better shake your booties for black girl nerves. Better shake your booties for black girl nerves.